Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery podcast are proud to bring you Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast. Join your hosts, Mike the Podfather and Jersey Ed, as they address the real issues in health and wellness for first responders. From physical and mental health to relationships and work-life balance, we leave no stone unturned. Answering the Call, the First Responder podcast is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as iHeartRadio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your friends in recovery answering the call.
Hey everybody, welcome to ATC, Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. I am Mike Miles, the Podfather, sitting here with
Jersey Ed.
And
the good Ed.
The good Ed. The good Ed.
As we always say, two Eds are better than one.
I bet you. Well, you wouldn't look familiar to anybody on this show unless we have a crossover. So.
Unless you're a cigar smoker.
Yeah, absolutely.
The voice could be familiar.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Sweets.
Right? And
I'm here.
He's here.
Sweets
I'm
is
always
here.
here.
Yeah.
What are you, the new Ed?
The new Ed. He's the,
He's the new producer extraordinaire.
So we went from two Eds to one Ed, and when we came here to this studio, we went from down to one Ed. We went to two Mikes now.
That's true.
Well, who's the other Mike?
But we don't know who the other Mike is, so we call Sweets Mike sometimes.
It's unbelievable.
They call me all kinds of things.
The memory starts to go when you hit. How old are you tomorrow? 50?
Tomorrow I'll be 54. Wow,
54.
I forgot. Tomorrow's
Let
my
me wish you
birthday.
a day before happy birthday.
Well, this show will probably play after my birthday, but my birthday is we're March 14th.
Well,
So.
you look good for your age.
Thanks.
Right.
So do you.
64? What's it? 64?
64. No, not yet. I'm not in that category yet. So
Perhaps we'll sing later. Huh?
we
Mike?
could. We
yeah,
could.
we can.
Is there? There's a cake, right? You guys got me the cake.
It's over
there is
there.
a
Well,
cake.
it's
The
kind of a
Jersey
cake.
Ed
Yeah.
cake.
Chris
There it is.
Yes, many cakes. Many little cakes.
That's right. That's right.
bought some nice treats.
So you're probably wondering why we have our old producer on the show,
Right.
And you're probably wondering who the fuck is our old producer, and did anybody's wondering did we have an old producer? Well, yes, and yes. So, but Ed Sullivan. I'll give you a quick background on Ed Sullivan. He was our old producer at Studio 21, which we thank you very much.
He just called you
Right.
old.
I know. I was going to say, as opposed to the young producer.
Our former producer.
I like that better.
So Studio 21 started our career in podcasting, and we've been going very well. And Ed was the producer at Studio 21.
Taught us everything we know.
He did. Him and David Garofalo over at Two Guys Cigar Shop. Thank you guys for
Salem, New Hampshire.
Yes, thank you so much for getting us started. And without you guys, we wouldn't be able to take this where we're at and get these first responders the information they need. So Ed was our producer, and the reason why we have him on the show, him and I were at a podcast fest last weekend, and he mentioned something to me about did you ever try the cigars for the first responders? And I said, no, tell me about them. So you tell us about these cigars, Ed.
First, we're going to have a test.
Okay.
We're going to have Mike try to pronounce the name of the cigar.
Let me give it a
and Ed'll
shot.
give it a whirl.
Las Caidos.
Okay.
Las Caidos. Las Caidos. Las Caidos.
Las Caidos.
All right. So you guys had a better shot at pronouncing Los.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sweets, do you give it a shot now?
Los Caidos.
Whoa.
Oh, you're closer. It would be pronounced Caidos.
Caidos.
Las Caidos.
No, Los.
I think
Los.
it's Los Caidos.
The O gives it
Caidos.
away in Los.
It's not Los anything.
My Spanish is limited, you
Yeah.
cabron.
I have no Spanish.
Don't ask Ed. Don't ask Ed to read.
Don't. I got to read some
Don't
stuff.
ask Jersey
man.
Ed to read.
Wait till the show later.
Yeah,
I got to read some stuff.
We've all seen him read from a script.
That's right. So hold up, Ed. Hold up your cigar. And Sweets has the same one. You can see, if you can't see, Mike, the Podfather, and I have two blue cigars. And Ed has a red cigar. Can you tell us what that significance is? Obviously, we kind of figured out.
Sure. First off, Los Caidos means the fallen in Spanish. So these cigars are for the benefit of the families of first responders who lost their life in the line of duty. So they've got the blue ones for law enforcement and the red ones for the firefighters. And, sort of an interesting story. A guy named Steve Zengel he opened a cigar shop in your neck of the woods, Ed.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, Seaside Heights. You
Oh,
know
yeah,
the place?
I know Seaside. Sleeside.
Yeah, so he opened that.
We love Seaside. That's where Jersey Shore was from.
Yeah. He opened that in 2012. And very shortly thereafter, his business was wiped out by Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah.
And, he reopened outside of the shore. But then, he actually lost a good friend of his on 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody else had come into the store trying to raise money for a couple of law enforcement officers who lost their life, raise money for the families. He, at the time, donated $200 and then started thinking, well, he wants to do more than that.
Okay.
Good guy.
So he launched this cigar brand with 500 boxes in 2016, and they all sold out.
Wow.
So $1 of every cigar purchase goes to help the families.
Gotta love that.
And then, in addition to that, he staged a motorcycle ride from Jersey to Los Angeles in 13 days.
Wow.
To raise awareness of the Los Caidos, and he's also got a 501c3 called Life of a Ride Time.
That's cool.
He wanted Ride of a Lifetime, but of course that was unavailable, so he went with Life of a Ride Time.
That's cool.
So the money he raises through the cigars goes through his 501c3 Life of a Ride Time. So now he's kind of launched this more nationally beyond the 500 boxes. And, it's sort of interesting. I don't know if you saw the box packaging when you were in there.
I did.
You told me about
Yeah.
it, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, Mike saw it. These are boxes of 12, but there's a 13th empty slot for end of watch.
Right.
So it's really kind of powerful packaging.
That's pretty cool.
And this is certainly something that's very worthwhile. Now, the cigar itself, it isn't just, here's a cheap cigar and we'll donate
It's a
some
very
money.
good cigar.
It's a very good cigar.
Well, why don't we light them real quick and
Let's light
test
'em.
it out? Here at every Friends in Recovery, we try to smoke cigars because we enjoy it, and we thought this would be a perfect example for all of us to do this, and hopefully we can make some donations from.
Even Sweet's got one, right?
I do have one, yes.
He's helping me on the firefighter side.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sweets is with the firefighters. Real quick, guys, if you want to leave any comments or any information, or if you have any questions, you can call us at 617-379-1163.
That's 617-379-1163.
Yes, and leave a message, and we'll be sure to play your message on the air. If you have any questions about these cigars, this is actually a very good cigar.
And just for our listeners, I just want a little footnote here. 617-379-1163. 163 was my badge number for 35 years, and I have it.
Total coincidence, or you picked that number?
No, I picked the
it's
number.
just-
I picked when we were in Orlando together. I picked the
Yeah.
number. I got the Google number. So
Right.
and
just coincidentally, we have you on the show, and I can just say, as a cigar smoker of about 50 years, I started very young. I can tell you that this is a very good cigar.
yeah,
This is probably the fifth one I've smoked. It's a great cigar, and this is a $12 cigar all day long. What do they sell for, Ed? Single?
So single, they're $9.99. If you buy them by the box of 12, I think it comes in around $99. So you save some money buying the full box, and he still donates the $1 per
dollar per box or per cigar?
per cigar.
Per cigar.
Oh, because there's 12 cigars in there.
Yep.
So $12 of every box goes to this foundation.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, in the cigar business, the margins are pretty small.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
he's giving away
Right.
a lot of what he would make on the cigar. So
Wow.
Hey, while we're talking along those lines, just a quick question, off the top of my head. You've been in the business a long time. You're a very, knowledgeable guy, especially about cigars. We joke, we have a lot of laughs, but I kind of admire a lot of your abilities, and one of them is, I really do believe you know your cigars. What the profit for cigars, I think people think they make a ton of dough, but with the taxes and everything,
Right.
I can't imagine how do you navigate through that? How do you do that?
The margins are pretty small, right? And everybody who's a cigar smoker sort of decides, wow, I'd like to be in that business.
Yeah.
And mostly you don't want to be in that business, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
because really it's difficult to get and maintain good employees. You know, Dave over at Two Guys has some who have been there
Yeah.
20 plus
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
you know.
Mr. Jonathan.
Nice crew.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good crew.
Other
over
than
there.
him, nice crew.
We love
Other
you,
than
Dave.
Jonathan?
Yeah. And we love Jonathan too.
No, just kidding. That's a joke.
But, you know, I think at best you do get Keystone on cigars, right, which is roughly 100% markup, which sounds great until you have to pay rent.
Yeah.
And you have to pay employees and you have to pay taxes.
Taxes on
So,
cigars. Yeah.
you know, when all is said and done, you might, if you're lucky and sell enough cigars, be looking at, you know, single digit
Wow.
kind of profit per year.
So he's really taken this is a passion for him then.
This
if
is
he's
a
given
passion
$1
for
a
him.
cigar.
You know, so he's not making a ton of money on this.
I want to get his information and send him a nice note,
Yeah,
a letter or
yeah.
something. And
Yeah, you said he was on. Well, we'll get to the Cigar Authority in a little bit, but well, I'll save that question for afterwards. For
Right.
our podcast pick of the week.
Yeah, but you know, if anybody's interested in ordering these and helping out, you know, what we always say is, first off, if your local retailer has these, support the local retailer, because if you don't, they will end up going away at some point.
Yeah.
But if these are not available at your local retailer, you can buy them at twoguyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com.
And that'll be in the show notes. We'll make sure we get all it in the show notes. And it's called Las
Well, it's still called Los.
Still called. Oh, they didn't change it since we spoke. I thought we were
feel like-
petitioning for that.
I really feel like the O gives it away. I don't know. I mean, am I wrong?
Even
Los.
the
Yeah,
font is pretty clear.
But how do
on
you
it, too.
pronounce Los Angeles is LAS, not Los Angeles.
I'm just gonna step back.
Yeah, it's still LOS.
It's Los, right? It's LOS.
Yeah, Los.
Los Caidos.
So it's not Los Angeles.
The Fallen. Los Angeles.
So,
I'm just gonna stay out of this one because I
Right.
feel like the O's just give it away across the board.
yeah.
But I'll let you do what you want.
I can't even speak fucking English. Okay, so you want me to even fucking think about talking Spanish?
To all my Spanish brethren out there, it is what we call a cabron.
Well, Mike, you say you don't know a lot of Spanish. How's your Khmer?
Not bad. I can understand
you,
it a
you
bit.
can get by?
Yeah,
I
a little.
used to have a Camaro. Right? Is that what we're talking about? It was pretty fast. Mine was.
No, I was sort of referencing, you know, Mike's time in Lowell.
Yeah.
Very big
Yes,
Cambodian
yes.
population.
Yeah.
there.
Wonderful. Let me just say this real quick. Wonderful. From '82, when the first boat full of refugees came to the United States, or to the eastern seaboard, we had 1,300, I believe, Cambodian, Vietnamese, and Laotian refugees come to Lowell all at once, and we had to basically, I don't want to say guard them, but we had to give them protection. So they hired police officers, and they stayed at an old school that was owned by St. Patrick's Church, the Archdiocese, and eventually they assimilated into the country. But these people had just come from a war-torn country, and to see where Lowell is now, they've actually put Lowell on the map with all their input. There's over 33,000 Southeast Asian citizens now in Lowell, and it's turned the city into a mecca.
Right.
It really has.
And yeah, Lowell has the second largest Cambodian population in the country after Long Beach, California.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow. And Mike, you were a police officer in Lowell. That's the
Yep,
connection.
35
here.
years. And I had a Cambodian partner. His name was Dareth Ung, U-N-G, and he was about 5'3", and not afraid of anything, hilariously funny. But at night you ride around. You're together 8 hours. You spend more time with your partner than you do with your own family. And he'd tell me these horrific stories about the camp he was in Thailand, and uncles and aunts that were murdered by the Khmer Rouge. And it was just amazing that when you go to these Cambodian weddings or these events, just a happy race of people. I think just to have freedom and have a life. And if you ask them about what they think of this country, believe me, they're all in on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever talk to anybody who lived through that, it's sort of interesting, the matter-of-fact way they talk about, what happened to them. And you're right. It's just
the stories are horrific.
The spirit of the people is amazing.
Yeah.
He has a scar on his forehead. I never asked him about it, but one night he said that he was about 9 and there was a pond somewhere in this camp they were in, and young kids would go jump in the pond when it was hot, and they were told not to. And one of the soldiers actually took a cigarette and held him and burnt his forehead.
Jesus.
So much so that it left a permanent scar.
Oh my God!
And he said, "I always thought I got that plastic surgery, but he said I always want to remember, and I want and people know when they see it, they know exactly what happened."
Hey, Mike, we're gonna take a quick break here, and after the break, we're gonna maybe learn a little bit more about Ed and maybe what he's up to, and a little bit more about the cigars.
Sounds good. Answering the call. We'll be back.
All right.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. The First Responder Recovery Program at Genesis House is led by a doctorate-level therapist with direct professional experience as a first responder himself. Treatment modalities focus on psychiatric care, relapse prevention, stress management, and trauma-informed care for PTSD. Learn why their individualized approach makes a difference for first responders. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Hey, welcome back. Answering the call. The First Responders Podcast. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
I'm Jersey Ed with our special guest here today,
Ed Sullivan, the producer extraordinaire from Studio 21.
Are you implying that I'm special Ed?
Yes, special Ed. Special Ed special? Guest. Yes, absolutely. Well, you know what time it is, Mike?
Ed, is it time for the podcast pick of the week?
It is time for the podcast
Can we get a drum roll?
Yeah, drum roll, please. There you go.
How about a double drum roll?
How about another one? There you go. Well, Jersey Ed's podcast pick of the week is Cigar Authority. And I actually have the producer sitting here of the Cigar Authority.
I don't produce Cigar Authority.
Well, the other Ed does.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Cigar Authority, Ed.
So the Cigar Authority is the world's longest running cigar podcast. We've been doing that now for be 10 years.
Wow.
In June. Never missed a week. Goes out live every Saturday at noontime Eastern. And you can find it live on Facebook and YouTube. And then the podcast is available on all the podcast places.
Yeah.
I've never been a guest. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah.
I am quite the customer.
Why don't you talk into the mic, dear Podfather?
Tell us about that again. What was that?
What was that? I said I've never been a guest.
Well,
Podfather's back in the room.
I would love to be a guest on that.
And listen, Mike, I proposed you as a guest so that you could come in and help Mr. Jonathan work on his anger issues.
Oh, my God, yes. That'd be my pleasure.
He's a very
Pro
angry
bono.
person.
He is. He snapped at me the other day, and I thought a normal customer would probably be upset, but then again, I'm not really
You're not
normal.
Not normal.
And I just took it. He was hungry.
Yes.
Once he had a chicken wing, he came
Yeah,
back down
He was
and
good.
apologized.
He was good,
Right.
yes.
Well-
so the Jersey Ed Podcast Pick of the Week Cigar Authority, watch it every Saturday at noon.
I have a
on
quick question about
YouTube
that.
and all that.
Yes.
No, that's the longest running podcast.
Cigar
about cigar-
podcast,
Cigar
yep.
podcast, right. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That is pretty cool.
Something to be proud of.
Yeah. yeah.
One would guess it's the most popular. You can't see other people's numbers, but I know ours are very good.
I bet they are.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
every week we smoke 2 cigars.
Yeah. It's
on
a
the
2-hour show,
podcast.
right?
It is a 2-hour
Yeah,
show.
Yeah. So you
and-
gotta grab your cigars. Tell us a little about what the concept of this show is really cool. Tell them what the
It's-
concept of this
It's
is.
interesting because I think Dave had been doing it for about 6 years, and people started saying, "Hey, can you tell us ahead of time what cigars you're going to smoke on the show?" And he decided, I can do better than that. I can send you the cigars we're going to smoke on the show.
Nice.
So every week, one of the cigars we pick is the one in the care package. And people can sign up for that on the cigarauthority.com. I believe it's, all the details are there. I believe it's still $25. That includes the shipping. You get 4 cigars. The retail value, I would say, always exceeds the $25.
Oh, yeah.
And this really becomes kind of an interactive podcast. A
Right,
lot of
sure.
people,
Yeah.
you know, when they're ready to smoke the cigar, they'll play the show and smoke along with us at
Great
home.
concept.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a great concept. So,
And, you know, by the way, we did smoke the Los Caidos on the Cigar Authority probably 3 or 4 weeks back. We had Steve Zengel on, who did a lengthy interview. So
Did you Zoom with him?
He was in studio.
In studio.
Mike.
In studio.
So
Could have met him.
if people are interested in learning more about Steve and what he's doing with
What's
Los
his last name?
Caidos, Zengel, Zengel.
and we'll have all that in the show notes, all this information, Cigar Authority's website and all that. So,
But really nice guy.
yeah,
Super.
yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about the Los Caidos
Wow, he's getting it.
cigars.
Yeah, so these are from Nicaragua.
Okay.
They're made in the Aganorsa factory, which is a very well-known Nicaraguan brand.
Okay.
And what Steve said he was trying to do with this is to make it light enough so that an occasional smoker isn't overwhelmed with it, but enough flavor so that even the experienced smoker will enjoy it.
Absolutely. There's definitely enough of flavor in there for me, and there's also a little bit of a kick to it also. You got a
Little
little
bit.
bit of a bite to it.
Sweets, what do you think of this cigar?
Yeah.
You're a
I'm
cigar
enjoying
smoker.
it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's very nice.
It's a
very
good
smooth.
cigar, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Now, Mike, or Podfather, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
We know you as Mike, but Podfather. So everybody's probably wondering, this is a first responders wellness podcast, and we're smoking our brains out and
Correct.
talking about cigars on here.
Correct.
But correct me if I'm wrong. This is something that the police enjoy doing, right? Did you have a couple friends that you would sit around and smoke cigars with? And
Many,
and,
yes.
Yeah, first responders?
When I first came on the department in 1980, I walked a route, a beat, beat cop, early nights, and there were several cigar stores back then. Elias Brothers had one. Hotwell had one. I mean, these were cigar stores with walk-in humidors, old, Jewish owners that knew their cigars. They'd have Cubans in the back room that were smelly, rock hard. And if you smoke when you die. I mean, I remember one night smoking half a cigar, and then I put it out. I put it in my pocket, and I left. And all of a sudden, I got cigar sick. The first time. I'd never been cigar sick
It's
before.
horrible, guys.
Honestly, I thought I was going to die,
Oh.
But there was so many options back then that in all these old cops, they always smoke cigars. And just quick story. When you go to a sudden death, somebody dies suddenly. Sometimes it's not too pleasant. Sometimes somebody could be dead for several days in a rooming house on the 3rd floor, about 98 degrees, without a fan, without a window open.
Oof.
And let me tell you, if that aroma doesn't stay with you for life, nothing does, and nothing compares to it. And the old cops would always have a box of Phillies in their locker, and they'd have someone go grab them a cigar, and this is what they would use to combat the smell of the decomposing body.
Oh.
And so we
Light
had
a cigar up?
and as a beat cop, that was one thing. But as a cop in a cruiser, I had like I called it my death bag. It had a mask. It had some British Sterling cologne that I'd sprinkle on the mask, and it had a couple of old smelly paper cigars like White Owl. They were cheap. Who cared? You weren't smoking them for the flavor. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The stinkier, the better,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
and gloves. And back in the day, there were no. You had to go to the hospital to find rubber gloves, first of all. And if you got a pair of rubber gloves, one pair, they lasted you several years because
Jesus Christ.
you just couldn't find them. It's not like now you can walk in a Market Basket or any store and buy a bag of 30 for 12, $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, if you guys are smoking the cigar and you see this show, give us a call. Give us a call and let us know what you think about the cigar. Or even if you're a cigar smoker, let us know that you're a cigar smoker, you first responders out there, and let's take a survey, see how many people smoke a cigar. Get us on Facebook at Answering the Call, the First Responders Podcast. We can pose that question up there, who's cigar smokers. Or call us at 617-379-1163 and let us know what you think of this cigar. and let us know what you think of how this, the donations and all that, and what I think it's a great idea. I think we are known for smoking our cigars on the show. This is the first time we've ever had anybody come on and talk about a specific cigar because there was really no reason to, just that we enjoy them, and this is a really, really good reason that the donations of $1 per cigar. This guy is going above and beyond what he's
Steve
doing.
Zengel, that's
Steve
correct.
Zengel, yep.
And where is he out of?
He's still in New Jersey, I believe.
He has a store, obviously.
I don't know if
Okay.
he shut the store to do this full time or not.
For him.
Yeah.
Ed, tell us, if you don't mind, Jersey Ed, that's like that Ask Ed Sullivan,
Yeah.
producer extraordinaire. Sorry, sweets. I'm very fickle. But I would definitely like to ask you about podcasting because we were smoking cigars, Ed, Jersey Ed, and myself, and we'd meet there when he'd come up. And just one day, Ed said something about, Jersey Ed said something about a podcast because you were having podcast, and
Yeah.
I never even heard of a podcast. And then we met you, and you got us involved, and we were there for over a year.
Yeah.
Studio 21, doing a podcast a week. So how long have you been doing this, and how'd you get involved in it?
Well, real quick, those podcasts that we would do, we would do them live.
Oh, yeah.
And we would do them on the day, and we would put them out that day. We would have to be there every week now.
We'll do it live.
Yes, exactly,
right.
exactly. Get it? I'm sorry.
Thriving Alive.
So, Mike, as you probably know, I was in the software business for about 32 years.
Right.
And decided, okay, I'm sick of this now. And I left the job I was at, and after about 6 months, my wife said to me, are you ever going back to work? I said, I hadn't thought about it. She said, well, you need to at least cover your cigar budget, which, as you can imagine,
Yeah.
is
pretty
somewhat
high.
substantial.
I just saw your front seat. You got 3 boxes out.
You should see what he bought to the Podfest. Jesus
You should
Christ.
see the trunk.
Your car looks like that of a single man.
My car is a humidor, but I had known Dave Garofalo for 25 or 30 years.
And just tell the audience who Dave is.
Dave is the owner of Two Guys Smoke Shop, so I actually went up there to sell cigars retail. I did that for about a year, and then I saw the studio and thought, that looks better. I'd rather be doing that.
Sure.
So I did take an online thing to become a podcast engineer, and I was just sort of winging it out there, Mike, but it came out good.
Yeah, it certainly did.
It did, absolutely,
It
yeah.
did.
So, and as Jersey Ed knows, I go to a lot of the podcast conventions and try to stay current.
Yeah, he does, and
Because-
I meet him there, and he
I
goes to the
know.
geeky fucking ones, and I go
Well-
to the entertaining ones.
Listen, I got to say I was nothing short of horrified when I walked into DC Podfest because I didn't know
You
Ed
had
was
no
even
idea I was
going
gonna
to
be there.
All of a sudden, he's shouting at me across the room.
And we'll put
Jumping up
some-
and down.
We'll put up some pictures, sweets, of Ed and I. We have a couple pictures of at both podcast fests, so I'll send them over. We'll put them up for you, everybody to
Yeah.
see. And Facebook, we'll put them on too.
And you couldn't lose him, right?
No, he's hard to shake. And, yeah, I mean, I will say Jersey Ed is like a teenage girl with his selfies,
Right.
I don't think I've ever taken a selfie.
Oh yeah,
in
we
my
were
life.
selfieing it up, Ed and I.
And you've heard enough of our podcast about addiction. Would you, in layman's, observation, would you think that maybe Jersey Ed's a little addicted to podcasts right now?
I believe I sent him a text at one point asking, do I need to do an intervention?
I know.
You got another podcast?
I know. Well, at the podcast fest, we was just in Orlando last weekend, and I was at everything that I can learn. I was learning everything, and I'm like, Ed, where are you? Oh, I'm by the fire pit smoking a cigar. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'll be right there.
Yeah.
And then you take off.
No, I stayed in them. The last day, actually, I didn't connect with you until almost 2 o'clock in
Right.
the afternoon.
Right, it was almost over.
Like you said, you
was.
couldn't shake them.
No, but I mean
I
that
gave him a little break.
that fire pit was interesting.
Oh my God, the fire pit.
So
Yeah.
Tell the audience a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you tell the audience
that
a
is
little bit about
that
it?
fire pit was crazy,
I
guys.
decided I was going to go have a cigar by the fire pit because Orlando at night isn't that warm. It was nice near the fire pit.
Yes.
I'm all by my lonesome enjoying my cigar.
Big
and
fire pit. Nice
yeah.
big size fire pit.
a woman walks up and says, "Are you here for the meetup?" I said, No, I don't.
He said, "Honey, I'm married."
Yeah, I said,
Check my
I
wallet."
don't believe so. What kind of meetup is it? Paranormal. I said, yeah, I'm definitely not here for that.
Well, we were looking for the cigar meetup the whole time,
Oh, that's
and
funny.
nobody would tell us where the cigar meetup was. So Ed was sitting there waiting for the cigar guys to come, and he gets the paranormal people. And it got even stranger after that. Some guy was microdosing, and it was
Microdosing
insane.
psilocybin.
Yeah. Sweets, what is microdosing? He had a shirt on, I microdose. Ask me about it. What the fuck is that?
Well, people are microdosing hallucinogens like LSD, psilocybin,
that's what I
mushrooms,
thought, okay.
even THC, and it's almost like a performance enhancement.
Oh, Jesus, God.
It's
It's heavy, right?
I don't promote it, but there are a lot of people, even in the software industry, in the corporate world, that are microdosing LSD and psilocybin
Jeez,
to
God.
boost their productivity.
Well, the
Wow.
guy did tell us how smart he was.
Yeah.
so-
I bet he did.
Yeah.
Several
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's actually on Facebook. I think you can see that on Answering the Call Facebook. We have a little clip of that.
Yeah,
Nice.
it was interesting. I had a lot of fun
right,
with
yeah,
those folks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the video of the two of you with no audio where it looked like you guys
Oh, no.
microdosed?
Yeah. You would have thought we microdosed at that point.
He offered us some kind of vape thing,
Oh, my
which
God.
we both declined.
Yes.
Probably a smart
Good move.
Yes.
I mean, the other paranormals, one of them, I think,
The one
partook.
crazy guy from Kentucky, I think, did do something, and I think he tried to fly or
I
something.
mean, it is fun, you know. In my normal life, I don't have people walk up to me and say, "How many legs of lamb do you eat every year?"
It was a crazy conference, guys.
It's a good question.
It
How
is.
many legs of
Yeah,
lamb do you
exactly.
eat
I
a
said
year?
probably
Let's hear from
less
everybody,
than one.
right?
Less
right?
than one? Yeah.
Less
Yeah.
than one.
Yeah.
So how many legs of lamb do you eat
How about
a year?
this? Call in if you eat more than one leg of lamb.
Yeah,
And tell us why.
617-379-1163. Yeah,
And for our
exactly.
Greek friends out there, tikanes iseomorphi.
There you go.
You'll know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. The Greek folks probably have more than
Oh,
one
I'd
a
say.
year.
Yeah.
Probably
yeah.
eat more than a
Greeks.
leg, too.
Yeah, exactly. I just pulled the Los Caidos
Yes.
website up. It's
You said
right
it
at
right
the beginning.
twice.
I did. So the website is pretty cool because as soon as you get on the website, well, just to take a step back real quick, and I'll promote Dave here for a minute because he did help us start all this. I put Los Caidos in there, and two guys cigar
thing.
shop popped right the fuck up. Okay, so but right underneath it was his website, and it says honoring the fallen, helping their families, and then $1 from every cigar donates, blah, blah, blah. Then you go into the site, which is pretty cool because it tells you right at the beginning. Can you see that, Podfather? We'll have a picture.
I'm looking
of
at it, yeah.
So it's and it has both cigars on there,
Right.
and this guy, he really, I guess he really honors the first responders, and I think that's really great, man, because a
Right.
lot of
I
our
couldn't
first-
agree more.
Yeah, for our first responders, you know, and it's honoring the first responders, but we forget about the families when they die in the line of duty, or even a suicide. We talk a lot about suicides here, and I was at a conference for the first responders conference out in Boise, Idaho, a couple of months ago. And a woman spoke about her husband killing himself, and I'm like, okay, well, it's pretty sad, and you know, she probably got a lot of money, but not realizing once that officer dies, if it's in the line, well, I don't have a line of duty, but if he kills himself or kills herself, that paycheck stops. There's nothing for her. She lost her house. She had to live on food stamps. So this is an amazing thing. I mean, I know it's not generating millions and millions, but every little bit helps for these guys, you know?
There's also a very, very well-promoted program, excuse me, that help not just widows or widowers of police, but fire, veterans, you know, correctional officers, and it's called Tunnels to Towers.
Mm-hmm.
And, excuse me, they try to build houses and they try to give new houses to family members. And Fox News promotes it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's out of New York. I wish I could think of the officer's name who died. He ran from his fire station through the Holland Tunnel to the towers in full gear. It's about 60 pounds. The day of 9/11, and he ended up dying, succumbing in either Tower 1 or Tower 2. As a result, his brother has started this organization. Mark Wahlberg, the actor, is very involved in it. So Tunnels to Towers, make donations, and we do have a lot of laughs in this show, but we are here to help police officers, correctional officers, EMS workers,
Any
veterans,
first responder, firefighters,
firefighters, right? So that's what we're here for.
Well, guys, we want to hear your comments. We want to hear your concerns. Share your great moments with us. Call us with some fallen heroes that you want us to recognize. Make sure you get your patches out to us, your department patches. Give us a call at 617-379-1163. And also you can email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast. And we'll be sure to get back to you and use all this information on the air and honor those who have fallen. And make sure you get out and buy these Los Caidos cigars. And
thank you to Ed Sullivan for coming on the show.
Yep,
Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a real pleasure.
One
Always good
final
seeing
point on the Los Caidos.
Yes, please.
It is exactly the same cigar, just banded differently.
Okay.
So whether you buy the red or blue,
Right.
it's the same good
Same
cigar.
good cigar.
Wonderful
Excellent.
cigar.
Yep. Guys, thank you very much.
Hey, answering the call. We are the First Responders Podcast, and it's been a pleasure serving you today.
Stay safe, everybody.
That concludes this episode of Answering the Call, the First Responder Podcast. Thanks to Genesis House for sponsoring the show and supporting first responders who are struggling with addiction and mental health. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com.